who is the enemy here? Who is the enemy of the entire human race? It's the people that killed Christ. That's what St. Paul said. And this is the enemy that the world has to deal with right now. And they know that. And that's why they create false flag operations to divide people.
That was Professor E. Michael Jones. More from him shortly. All intuitive people know the world is at war and it's about to turn hot. This war has a spiritual component with Satan and his spawn, the Jews, who are the enemies of mankind as told to us in John 8:44.
You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, and has nothing to do with the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks according to his own nature, for he is a liar, and the father of lies.
In war you must identify your enemy. Don't be afraid to say their name or you will lose. Name the Jew as did Jesus. America was founded in the spirit of Satan, points out Professor E. Michael Jones, author and Catholic intellectual. He has authored a library of best-selling books including The Jewish Revolutionary Spirit that makes the case that Jews are subversives. In his reasoned writings, Jones concludes that Jesus was the Logos incarnate, and the Jews killed him. Logos translates to word, reason, or principle, and signifies the divine reason or mind of God that orders the cosmos and provides meaning to existence. Thus, Logos serves as a bridge between humanity and the divine, representing God's love and intent in his creation. The Jews are anti-Logos, as is their father the devil. We all know Jews have captured America. The Jewish Israel lobby embodied in the American Israel Public Affairs Committee corrupts and buys the U.S. Congress. AIPAC is the center of the evil. It refuses to register as a foreign agent for Israel under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, and every attorney general since President Kennedy's administration has protected AIPAC from prosecution. It's time this stops, so America can disengage itself from Jewish capture and endless proxy wars for Israel, costing America its prestige amongst the community of nations, costing trillions of defense dollars and costing the lives of Americans dying for Israel. You can see the traitorous Jewish-bought Congress members at trackapac.com. They've bought almost all the Congress. The money showed on the AIPAC tracker website paid to the Congress members is only a fraction of the payoffs reported to the Federal Election Commission. Billions are directly paid by Jewish donors directed by AIPAC to approved candidates who must sign an Israel loyalty pledge. Can you believe that? Check your Congress member and tell them if they've signed the AIPAC Israel loyalty pledge or taken Jewish money, they're out at the next election. House Representative Thomas Massie courageously revealed how the AIPAC control and capture of Congress works. Shortly thereafter, Massie's wife was found dead. He's been silent since.
Idea of a foreign government playing in our political campaigns openly.
Openly in that they're showing you they're doing it, but opaquely in that you can't track it because they're not registered.
Is there any other Republican who has your views on this?
Well, I have Republicans who come to me on the floor and say, I wish I could vote with you today. Yours is the right vote, but I would just take too much flack back home. And I have Republicans who come to me and say, that's wrong what AIPAC is doing to you. Let me talk to my AIPAC person. By the way, everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has something like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them. So I've had
that's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, "I'll talk to my AIPAC person," and it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
It doesn't benefit anybody. Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? it doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Have you seen any other country do anything like this? Like
No.
Russia obviously determines the outcome of our elections. We keep hearing that. Does anyone have a Putin guy that they talk to?
Not only do they not have a Putin guy, look, they don't have a Britain guy. They don't have an Australian guy. They don't have a Germany dude. Like, it's the only country that does this, that has somebody that, like, uniformly, I guarantee there's some spreadsheet at AIPAC where the AIPAC dude who's matched up with the congressman is there, and then all the congressman's votes on the issue. Oh, has the congressman been to Israel? They pay for trips for congressmen and their spouses to go to Israel. I'm not the only Republican who hasn't taken the AIPAC trip to Israel, but I'm probably one of a dozen that hasn't taken that trip, and the other ones just haven't got around to it.
You'll shortly hear Professor Jones argue that the founding spirit of America was satanic and rotten to the core. We're seeing America defend Israel, acting as its proxy, arming Israel, financing Israel, excusing and protecting Israel from the world's indignation for its genocidal crimes committed in Gaza, and now all its Arab neighbors are awake to Israel's neo-colonialist ambitions to form Greater Israel from the Nile River in Egypt to the Euphrates River, which rises in southern Turkey and flows through Iraq, abutting Iran. Jews claim this is their divine promised land as the chosen people. This nonsense fable arises from what Jews say is a 2,700-year-old land deal between God, acting as a land broker, and Abraham. Jews call it their Abrahamic covenant. It has no basis. Israel is a secular state. It doesn't believe in God, yet it peddles the Abrahamic covenant as the basis for stealing Palestine and proclaiming the State of Israel in 1948. They even depicted their Abrahamic land claim on Israel's flag, 2 blue lines representing the Nile and Euphrates River, with the demonic star of Remphan between the blue lines, which is all the land of Greater Israel. The flag is an incitement that Jews were coming for all of the Middle East. Can you now understand why Arab states are incensed at Israel? It's not irrational hate. It's self-defense, but you're never told this, are you? Without America and its United Nations Security Council protection, Israel would be under heavy world boycotts, divestment and sanctions known as BDS. It would quickly fold. BDS terrifies Israel, so it's had US states pledge loyalty to Israel by introducing anti-BDS laws protecting Israel using rich American Jews to pressure and cower the states. This must stop if America is to be a sovereign nation. America is the big Satan, and the Jews' Israel is the little Satan, precisely as described by Iran. That is in fact a divine statement supported by the words of Jesus Christ, with the Jews being the spawn children of the devil, as Christ called the Jews in John 8:44. Now listen to Professor E. Michael Jones on the Jews. You can catch Dr. Jones at his weekly Culture Wars podcast on your favorite podcast player, or buy his bestseller books at culturewars.com.
Jews only have a negative identity. They are they are against Logos. They kill the Logos incarnate. They are in rebellion against Logos, and that's why they're revolutionaries. And whenever they come into any type of, whenever any society admits them, their first task is to undermine and overthrow the society that has granted them asylum. And that's why they get kicked out of so many different countries. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the cartoon of the mother sitting there at the principal's office and the principal saying, so your son got kicked out of 109 schools. What was wrong with those schools? That's the type of thing that is. So this is being discussed more and more openly on Twitter, for example, and they're not going to be able to put that genie back in the bottle.
Well, we have this document, back to this translating hate document. There you have this Catholic Bishop Bombera trying to get the U.S. Catholic bishops to agree to this notion that somehow criticizing Jews and calling all these problems that we've mentioned in this interview regarding Jews, their how they tend to subvert, they take over institutions, they moral subversion, these things, and it's anti-Semitic to point these things out. It's baked into their identity. I'm using that term sort of poetically,
Right.
and so they often don't understand themselves.
They don't understand their identity. They don't. First of all, they don't understand what it means to be satanic. What does it mean? Well, the answer is read John Milton's Paradise Lost. He was the Puritan poet, and the hero of Paradise Lost is Satan. And if you read that speech at the beginning of Paradise Lost, where Satan, he's been defeated, and he wakes up and he's in a sea of flame and he's in hell, and he says, well, I'm not going to just lie here. I'm not going to take it lying down. And he gives a speech where he wants to rally the troops. He's got a plan. He's going to get back at God. And he gives a speech, and the speech is basically the essence of Satanism. It's this essence of rebellion, this rebellious spirit, where he uses terms like freedom. Here we shall be free. Talking about hell. Here we shall be free. Well, how can you mean that? Because it's better to reign in hell than it is to serve in heaven. And I'm saying these are exactly the thoughts that crossed the mind of the Puritans when they landed in Massachusetts Bay Colony. These are the thoughts. Here we shall be free. They're going to have a kingdom of their own, and they're going to live out their defiance. Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. And the other part of it was this notion, in order to do that, you had to elect yourself as God's chosen people. You are the descendants of Joshua. This is Canaan, and the Indians are Amalek. It's exactly what Bibi Netanyahu's doing in Gaza. Exactly. He gave a speech in Hebrew in which he used the term Amalek. He's invoking this heretical reading of the Bible and commissioning himself in this Zionist way that's exactly analogous to what the Puritans did in America. This is the satanic, thread that goes throughout American history. You'd be amazed when you read this book, when it finally comes out, you'd be amazed at how many people, literary figures in America, quote Satan's speech in Paradise Lost. It had a profound effect on the American consciousness.